Hello, everyone. Today is very exciting for me. My name is Theresa Hawco, and this is the very first podcast, video podcast of my 31 virtues that I have written about in my book. And I chose this virtue because I think it's the king of all virtues. It's love, of course. And I think love is, well, first of all, we can never get enough of it. And I just wanted to read you something a little bit about love. And it says, love doesn't make the world go round. Love is what makes the ride worthwhile. Franklin P. Jones. And my intention is to do one virtue every month. And this is the first one, as I mentioned. And I chose a very special guest today to talk about love. They say Harville Hendrix is the doctor of love, the love doctor, but I think Patrick Rhein is second the second guy. And I can say that because I've known him for almost 20 years, and he lives that every day, and that's amazing to me. So I'm going to read a little bit of his bio. I have to read it because it's so huge. I'll never remember it all. So here it goes. Patrick was born in Switzerland and is a world traveler throughout Europe, Africa, Asia, and Canada. He brings deep understanding of the myriad of belief systems across the globe. Having worked in 8 countries on 4 continents, Patrick has a broad range of experience, including over 25 years in human resources, corporate training, sales and marketing, and on and on and on. And he currently lives in BC, Canada. Patrick is highly respected mentor and facilitator in EQ, emotional intelligence. And he's an executive and team coach and trainer and a specialist in the study of human relationships. Patrick continues to be fascinated by human nature and is passionately fulfilling his vision to bring peace to the world. And that is one thing that he and I definitely connect on. There's strength in numbers. And he does this through authenticity, humanity, harmony, and the expansion of human potential. And to top all that off, Patrick has written a book called Be Different, Be You. And at the end of this video podcast, I will give you all of his contact information. And if you have any questions or you want to buy his book or anything like that, you can contact him directly. So, Patrick, welcome, and I'm so privileged and honored that you can be here with me today. It really, really means a lot. And like I said, you're the epitome of living from a space of love, especially at these times where basically the world is sort of locked down and it's easy to fall into a dark space. But throughout all this, you still seem to just come from that space and shine. So I have some questions for you today, Patrick, if you don't mind.
Well, first of all, Teresa, thank you for inviting me on your first podcast. I'm very honored. I am honored and privileged to be here, and it's a fantastic, exciting time to be able to speak about love. I agree with you and with everything going on. Love has to prevail, and love have to shine from within. And it's all about knowing how to access this from within. So yes, I'm all here, but thank you again. And thanks for the beautiful introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know, Patrick, I really do believe that love is the answer to all of our challenges in life. If we can come from that space of love, there's nothing we can't accomplish, right?
I totally agree.
So, my first question for you is, in your perspective, can you define that word? I mean, love gets thrown around pretty loosely, but can you define all the colors and degrees of love? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I agree, and this is very interesting to see because, like, I agree with the fact that love is used in so many ways, and has so many, we can give it so much different strength and degrees of, integration in so many things. So, I'll give you a first quick view of Wikipedia, but then I'll go into my perspective as well. So Wikipedia says love encompasses a range of strong and positive emotional and mental state. From
Mhm.
the most sublime virtue, here we go, or good habits, that's important, and a habit of love, right? The deepest interpersonal affection to the simplest pleasure. And pleasure is also a concept that I will talk about after. So, yes, love is something that is part of us. It's like water for the plant, it's like sun, it's like air, it's everywhere. So for me, it's a vibration that
Yes.
exists in the universe. At that frequency, we capture it anyway, and then we release it or we don't. So it's very important to harness that frequency, that vibration, and to live with it and to rise into that vibration the highest we can. So sometimes, we are not able to do that. And the reason is because we are bogged down by stress or by challenges or by hatred or by whatever politic.
Mhm.
So many things are just decreasing the intensity and the strength of that frequency, of that vibration, of that emotion that is within. So it's about being aware of that. That's one. And about how to ignite it and how to keep it alive. It's like a flame, you know,
Mhm.
flame. A flame on a candle survives only with oxygen. If you don't have oxygen, the flame dies. Same with this awareness around the you inner love and how you can ignite that is what is the oxygen for the flame.
Right. Yes, that makes total sense. And, and the thing is, I read it somewhere or saw it somewhere that if you have a candle that's lit, you can light all the other candles without the original candle's light going out. So it's like a spreading thing. It's like that ripple effect in life. The more you give, the more you get. It's just a miracle of life, really.
Yes, we are made out of love, and we are designed for love, and this is like our birth gift.
Yes.
And we should really know that it's there for everything, and you can observe it around everywhere in nature. You can see the power of love shine, expressing, and then it rippled on so many expression of our self, like through art and books and expression music, all form of art are a real expression of love, and
Mhm.
that's beautiful. And so it can really be understood in so many ways.
Yeah, exactly. So for someone that doesn't really feel the love, uh, how can they go about bringing more love into their life and integrating it in their life? What can they do?
Yes, great question, because there is always a reason for that. And it's, of course, starts in the womb, and then not even in the creation, in the when your parents are creating you. If it's an act of love, it's already different than if it's just an accident. Or it's not that an accident can be bad, because an accident can be an act of love as well. But I'm talking about, if you have this consciousness at that moment, this is wonderful. This is like optimum. But sometimes you just, it happens in the moment and it's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. But during that period of time, the 9 months, they are very important. It starts there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then at birth, how you born. So if you're born in water, if you're born in traditional, if you have all kinds of operation that needs to be done, or too early or too late. So, all this has an impact, but doesn't mean that you cannot be loved. You can be loved anytime, because the beauty of mankind is that we are reprogrammable. So if we have a set of a program at birth, we can always rearrange that.
Mm-hmm.
We are not like doomed and a victim. And this is really, really important. We are not a victim. We can always take charge and say, okay, I want to be more loved. So if somebody doesn't have access to that flame inside for X reason, you can give reason, you can find out why. But the why is not going to change necessarily something unless you take action, unless you become that person and say, okay, I'm going to change something in my life. I want to find out how love manifests. And I'll give you an example. Self-love is the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that many times before. And I was more outside than inside. I was like giving out, but I was not aware of self. I didn't know how to eat that self-love. I didn't know what it means, And I learned about it. I learned about how that is important. And it changed the way I loved other people. By loving myself, I had it's like, how can you give water with an empty glass, right? It's impossible. So I had to fill my own cup. I had to learn how to fill my own cup in order to be able to give to others. So in bottom line is learn to self-love first. Try to see what's good in you. There's always something amazing. I mean, out of 300 million or billion of sperms that are dispersed in somebody's body, one arrives to the egg. One, and that's you. So that says something. You have a reason to be on the planet Earth. There is a reason for that. And you deserve love, and you deserve to express your love the best you can. So now it's about being aware of that. You're not a victim. You are a loving, light human being. So it's about bringing that out and not being scared. So just coming back to why, some people had trauma, some people had a difficult birth, some people had a dysfunctional family, some people had all kinds of things can happen in life. And we all have our stories,
Mm-hmm.
everybody. So it's not about letting these stories taking over your love. Your love is stronger than any stories you can have.
Well,
So,
that's true, Patrick. I agree with you. Um, I believe that personally that love is our birthright, and it never really goes away. It may get hidden because of learned bad habits or abuse. Who knows? I mean, many things can happen to people. So, and I agree with you. That exactly what you just said, we are love and all that, but give a couple of simple little steps of what a person who feels really down and out and unloved, what can they, and I agree with you about the self-love, but to a person that I just described, they're going, I don't know what that means. So what can they do? Like one of the things I did 100 years ago to create self-love in myself, I held up a mirror and I said, I love you. And what came back was, are you nuts? I don't think so. And it was amazing. And I kept persisting and doing it over and over and over. And then after a while, I started to kind of feel like, okay, at least I like you. And it kept going. So give us a couple of simple steps of what a person can actually do to uh, to get it, connect with that pilot light that's within them, and to bring it into a bigger flame until they can go out into the world and feel love and be love.
And I will answer to that, Theresa. I think it's great. But allow me to have first an understanding of the concept of what's going on in our mind and our body.
Okay.
Because we have a protection mechanism, which is survival. Okay. So usually when love is shut down is because the survival mechanism is in place. That means I don't want to get hurt. I
Right.
don't want to be in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, I'm shutting it down. I'm numbing myself. Okay. So if you want to come out of that, you have to be aware of what's going on. If you don't know what's going on and you have a mirror and you say to yourself, okay, I love you. And then you say, wow, and whatever, it's exactly that. That protection mechanism is right in there. Mm-hmm. So it's about unlocking this power of love by being aware of what's going on. Okay. And then that's why I was mentioning victim. You are not a victim. You are an owner of love. You have a title. You own the title of ownership of love. It's all about when it's hidden, what do I do? Okay. So once you understand that concept, it's really a learning process. I will start with gratitude. Gratitude, being grateful about so many things, not just about the big things. Oh, I'm grateful that I got a new car. No, you're grateful to wake up in the morning, because being alive is a privilege. We have access to so many things during our life that gives us pleasure. Mm-hmm. And this is where I want to talk about the most important thing is pleasure. Our brain is made in such a way, we are rejecting pain and we are seeking for pleasure. Rejecting pain.
Yes.
So if you want to love, you have to have access to pleasure. But if you're numbed and shut down, how can you even have access to pleasure? It's not going to go in. So first key, gratefulness, gratitude. Be grateful about the fact you wake up. Be grateful about the fact that you have a roof above your head, a bed, food, that you can walk, that you can anything. And if you're limited, if you are hindered and you don't have a roof, you have other reason to be grateful. So it's about looking for the small things. What are the small things I be grateful of and happy about? So I think this is the first very basic tool that I can give here. And I could go on and on.
So what I heard you say, the very first thing that a person has to do is be aware.
Yes.
Awareness is number one.
Yes, and awareness. And number two is not thinking that you're a victim. You are in charge. Right. You are on the title.
Right. Okay. So awareness of where they are, because that you can't change something you don't acknowledge, right? Right? And so awareness is the biggest thing. And then step one to get out of that space, I heard you say, is gratitude, which is a virtue I wrote about. And it's true. Even if the only thing you can come up with is that you're grateful for your hair, that's a good start. And so awareness, gratitude. What would be the next thing a person could do?
Well, there's I am always really happy about small things. So if I go in nature, for example, mm-hmm. or if I go for a walk, and it's cold, let's say I go for a walk and it's super cold and windy, I say, wow. So the wow effect is something you need to integrate in your life. Yes. So, this is something like I'm wowed about anything. A small bird that I've seen, a gray bird that looks maybe like nothing. I say, wow, look at this little bird, and appreciate. Yeah. So gratitude, appreciation, and wowness. So the wowness will change your life. If you just bored about everything is just like, okay, mundane and whatever. Uh, if you say whatever, you're not in wowness, right?
Yes.
So there are some words that are killing the wowness. So, wow, look at this beautiful day we have today. Or wow, look at this rain. It actually bring water to the plants, to the planet. I'll be able to drink it. Anything can be wow.
Yes, I agree with you. And I do believe too that love is an action word. So, while you're in that park or in that forest or whatever, once you get the wow feeling, whether it's for nature or animals or whatever, then you can start putting that love into action by perhaps, you know, uh, uh, for example, when the COVID lockdown first started, I started going out for walks, usually an hour a day. And one day in my environment, in my neighborhood, I was doing my regular walk, and I came across this lady, this young mother, and her little boy. He was probably about 4 or 5 years old. They had masks on, and what they decided to do was they were walking around the area with a garbage bag, and they were picking up garbage and cleaning. And I thought, wow, what a great idea, right? And so, I mean, they could have stayed home and been bored and, felt bad for themselves, but instead they thought, I'm sure she thought, let's let's do something positive and good. And that's what they did. So love is really an action word. Someone can say, I love you till the cows come home, but if they don't treat you well, then you know, love is really put into action, I believe. Do you feel
Yeah.
that?
Yes, for me, love, it's like a big umbrella. And under the umbrella, you have many little words that could be attached to it. And so, like you say, care, caring about things, about people, about your environment, about any impact, any ripple effect that we creating by our behavior, by our words, by our actions, by our everything. So if this woman and that child decided to care about the planet and make a difference, this is an act of love.
Yeah,
And this is so beautiful. And you could think differently. You could think, oh, look at these bummers. They're just getting done. Maybe they get money or whatever. You could think very differently. But no, you could be positively charged by saying, wow, look, they care about the planet. They care about doing something and making a difference in here. This is fantastic. So under that umbrella of love, I like to think of some synonyms, that are connected to love. Do you mind if I go into that?
sure, go ahead.
So, caring, being compassionate,
Hmm.
empathetic, these are words that are fully love charged, okay? Gratitude, like we said before, support, being supportive of people or of actions, giving without any expectation. This is where you activate your flame. When you do these things, you just give
Hmm.
without any expectation. These
Yes,
people who decided to clean the boardwalk, they just give. They just try to make a difference by giving their time and their energy. And they're not expecting anybody to say, to give them anything in return, right? It's pure love. Forgiveness is another way of expressing
yeah,
your love,
huge.
right? Being able to forgive, this is very big. Being humble. Humble, like ego, is always taking away the love. And we got to understand your ego is almost the opposite of love. Like when you have a high ego, how can you love? If you're
Yes,
humble and you really act in humility, you can give love. Look at Gandhi, look at the king. I mean, all these people who were Mary Teresa, like the other Teresa, uh, they are people that came from a place of love. So I continue with my synonyms because they are really empowering, and I hope you take note of that because it's if you're looking for how to find love in within, these are really good words. Smiling, smiling is an act of love, and for children, I'm really having a hard time with these masks because we don't see people smiling as much. Like we see the eyes wrinkles maybe, but we don't see this beautiful smile. So what I decided to do is having a transparent mask, and I
Yeah.
keep smiling with my, you can buy these transparent masks,
Yeah.
and it looks so much better. I feel much better to be able to see people that way. Hugging. Hugging is an act of love. Just go and give these free hugs, just out of no expectation, no, not thinking anything else, just giving love. I did practice this. I went in Toronto when I was living in Toronto. I went on Dundas Square, which is that big, busy place,
Mhm.
and I give free hugs, to people. And it was so fascinating because I didn't care who it was, right? I didn't care whether it's a poor or rich or female or male, and anybody. And it was interesting to see how people reacted to that. Like some people were really wanting so much a hug because they didn't have a hug for a long time. Some didn't know how to respond to the hug and
Yeah.
shy, but really wanting it. Just do these actions, like just give love and don't expect anything. And if people ask you, why do you do that? No reason. I hug for no reason.
Yes. Well, um, the interesting thing is once you instill love for yourself, and basically then wherever you go, you bring that with you, whether it's downtown Toronto, or you go into the office, or you go see the cashier at the grocery store, because it's something that you carry with you. And so, um, and we live in a society now where when you go in, in the office, you got to be a certain way, and so I guess it's really, how do you show love there? Is it through your words and kindness, doing kind thoughts?
Exactly. And this is it. I was talking about care and kindness. I mean, these are the other synonyms of love. So for me, I cannot be different than loving. It's kind of in my genetic makeup, so to speak. Like you said, I
Hmm.
just love to love. For
Yeah.
me, it's like fun to love.
Feels good.
If I harmony is is really also a spill out of love, right? So
Right.
if I'm in disharmony, my love is shaked. So if I go to an office space, I'm gonna give all what I was mentioning, smile. I'm gonna, if I can hug, I hug. If I can care, I care. If I can take time to listen to
Hmm.
people or ask questions or be interested and curious about them, about how they feel. Or
Right.
if I bring them a gift, or if I, but no expectation, not a gift to get in return. Or if I give them a smile, or if I see they have trouble, then I say, "Are you okay?" Being present,
Yes.
being, alert about what's going on around you, and really caring about what's going on. Then this is how you can carry that in the office. And now in a transaction, if you're in a transaction or do business, I always think of win-win.
Hmm.
So yes, having a transaction going on, and it's all about making this business survive. But I like win-win.
Yeah.
So they get something, I get something, everybody's happy. It's about making people happy.
I agree with you. I feel it showing love can come in the simplest of forms. It doesn't have to be, buying some big gift or some big anything. It's just a presence, an energy that you exude, and I think once a person starts that pilot light and starts to make it bigger and bigger, and it becomes infectious, because what happens is when someone such as myself, when I met you, and then throughout all the years of history that we've shared, I see it consistent. And so I think the best influence that we can be is by being that ourselves. And so with you, because you've lived that way, that is how you live every second of every moment of every day. It's inspiring to others, and I believe that you must have found that in your own life, that the kinder you are and the more compassionate and caring you are, it must rub off other people that come into your energy. Do you find that?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, we have a power of influence, and we are, who we are makes a difference in the world. So that's why I think it's important to speak about this topic,
Yes.
so we can, I talk always about the love thermometer. So
Mm-hmm.
it's about increasing the heat of love.
Yes.
So, you can be a cold being, or you can be shy, you can be, oh, it's not for me and all that. But there's so many ways to share love.
Yeah.
Like we just explained, right? You can just care, listen, be present, ask question, curious question about the person, bring in a little gift, smile, just a simple smile with somebody who had a hard time. Or, yeah, caring. This is all positive attitude. And if you are like that in the office on a constant basis, people will notice you and will appreciate you. So, yes, is that love thermometer, increase the temperature, try to be more of that. And yes, we are facing sometimes the opposite of love. Somebody who is in hatred
Mhm.
or in anger or selfish or just the opposite of our values or virtues,
Yeah.
or aggressive. Uh, Now, this is the interesting time. This is where you can do your love fitness. Okay, it's a fitness. It's like a muscle. You got to practice it. So I one day I understood one thing. I said, okay, love your enemies. You know that sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I say, yeah, right. It's a nice theory, but
Yeah.
how can I put it in practice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that was a whole exercise, and I keep exercising it. So each time I have, some people, it's easy to connect with, and some people it's like really like ah, you have a hard time. Like this it doesn't resonate, right?
Mhm.
When I meet somebody like that, and it happens, I say, oh, okay, how can I love that person? How can I really appreciate who they are, even they are not my cup of tea? They are so different, or they are so aggressive, or so. There is a reason for all them to be for them to be in that state, to
Yes.
be selfish or aggressive or in anger.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I give them love? How can I appreciate who they are? What is behind all this protection wall?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fitness. This is the love fitness. So I really encourage to practice that and to see how you can love your enemy.
Yes, I agree with you, because the love you give has absolutely nothing to do with that aggressive person. It speaks for you, because we're all responsible for our own behavior. And I personally have a universal love, and I've had many people say, "What? You Impossible. You can't love the whole world." And I go, I do. I mean, I send love out to the world on a daily basis, because we're all in this together. And I believe that if we can love each other, that is the only way that we're going to come to a world peace. And right now, more than ever, we need that. But Patrick, before I forget, I want to ask you this. I know that you do webinars and workshops on the power of love. Can you give us like a 2 minute thing of what that looks like? Paint a picture?
Oh, that's a 2 minute. Okay, let me see.
Okay, more than that.
Well, you just mentioned something about universal love, and I really want to tap in, piggyback on that, just to say, and this is also one of the purpose of my workshop. Love doesn't know gender. doesn't know religion, doesn't know race, doesn't know distance. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what is interesting. You can be anywhere and you can be loved. Look, you're in Toronto, I'm in Kelowna, BC, and our love haven't changed. It's just always there and present, right?
Yes.
So it's about really nourishing that love and appreciate the differences.
Mm-hmm.
So people are different, whether it's a different, sexual orientation or religion or race or anything like that. But that's what is wow. That what is wow is like, what can I learn from these differences?
Mm-hmm.
What can I, contribute to this person with my light of love?
Yes.
So in this workshop, I really try to explain more in a large sense what love can be and what large love is not, and how we can concretely come into accessing this um, information or that vibration. And during this workshop is like the many concept and understanding, even the power of words, being present is like I have a little workshop where people can practice some specific role plays and find a way to tap into it. And it's a crescendo workshop. So at the end of the day, everybody is in love with life, in love with themselves, in love with people where they're. And there is this really special link that is created among the participants of the workshop. And of course, it's easier when it's in person
Mm-hmm.
because there are some specific exercises that I have created that are really good. Like, give you an example. Maybe I shouldn't, huh? Okay, I gave it away. You choose a person and give a hug for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, that means you don't move for 10 minutes, and that can be same gender or not, somebody you don't know. So, just that, just channeling love, and you see it becomes really hot. I mean, each time I do that, it's because the frequency of love is really high.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some people who are not, touchy-feely, so they might not feel comfortable. And this is exactly what they need most, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of emotion that can come out of that. There's some other very powerful exercise I have that are wow,
That,
very
well,
powerful.
that's really great. I so basically, what I got from your explanation about your webinars and workshops is that which I think is really important, is to express what love is and what it isn't. Because if a person's been in a certain space all their life, I mean, what is it? That there was a story one time that a boy was raised with the wolves and he becomes like the wolf because that's all he knows. And
Totally.
so it's true for children, for people, that however they're raised or whatever happens to them, that's all they come from a certain space in life, and and they don't know any different. So I think in your workshop it is really important to explain to people to get the clarity on what love is and what it is not. And it's a good starting point, and I think that's great.
Yes, and Teresa, I mean, you wonder who is going to go to a workshop like that, right? So people who are already, passionate about love, or they understand and they like it. That's great. These people definitely will increase power of love, and will increase the theme of them. Will have more tools to really be more a channeler of love. But
Yes.
those people really don't want to come and say, "Oh, no, 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 that's too far fetched. This is too hard." And like you said, they're born into this uh, or brainwashing to this protection system, and cannot have access. These one need it most, and I've seen transformation, really big transformation. You rewrite your life, you reinvent yourself, you become a new human being which has which own the title. of being a human being. Human being equal love.
Yes.
We, you know, I mean, there I received just not recently so many nice videos about you know, love with animals, you know, like the exchange. Oh my gosh, so heartbreaking, you know. I hope you can integrate that in your webinar at some point, like just a clip, you know, where you have all this love that has been created between human and animals. But of course, you know, I tell you once I was like, so this is an image, imagine that. I was 19, I was traveling, I was in South America, 19, right? So
Mhm.
pretty young, looking at things, discovering.
Baby.
And I saw a couple. They were at least, I would think, they were probably in their 70s or more, and they were holding each other's hands, and they were looking at each other with love, and
Mhm.
they were kissing each other, like in public, you know, like this. This old couple, they were so beautiful.
Yeah.
I said, I want to be like that when I grow up. You know, it's an
Yes.
example because you can demonstrate love, and there is no age for love. You don't need to only be young; you can be very old and learn about love.
That's true.
And it's in my and I've been so fortunate because my mom really discovered another form of love when she was 84.
Aw.
She fell in love at the age of 84 like never before.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, the thing I really feel about love is it starts with me, right? And I say that because um, I left home at 16 and I left the complete province of where I lived and went to a new one at 18. And I just went on with my life. I hardly talked to my mom or anything like that. And then 20 years later, I thought, oh my gosh, I thought just because we didn't argue or anything, we must be fine. And then I realized we weren't fine at all. And so there was a huge disconnect. And so one day in my meditation, I get the best ideas in my meditations. One day in my meditation, what came to me was if I wanted to have a loving mother, I needed to be a loving daughter first. And so my mom and I hadn't even called each other for years, if you can imagine. And so what I started to do at that point in my life, I started to call my mom every day. And it, first we talked about the weather and then what she had for dinner, that kind of real simple things. And then after a few phone calls, I told her I loved her. And she went, me too, click. And, but Patrick, as the last 10 years of her life, it was like watching a rose bloom. The love between us became so huge. It was amazing. And by the time, we she passed away, she would say, I love you. And she'd treat me like her little baby. And I thought, wow, but it had to start with me. And that's the truth. That is where it has to start. And if we're not happy with the love in our life, then I believe it's up to us to change. Do you feel that?
Oh yeah, and you know the power of words are so strong. And yes, we have to start with learning how to tap in that power of love because it's there. It's there in everybody. And you know, there is a scientist called Masaru Emoto who
Mhm.
was who is evaluating the vibration and how it has an effect, you know, on everything.
Mhm.
So there is a form of vibration. I mean, the words is a vibration.
Yes.
Okay, so whatever we are speaking through frequencies and vibrations. So what we say is charged with emotion. And so our voice carry that
Yes.
and create a sound that has an effect on water.
Right.
So water, you can, and then if you freeze the water, like Masaru Emoto froze that water in order to see a crystal. And this crystal, all the lack of crystal, depending on the words you choose. So if you say you bitch or whatever, then you, crystal, I'm not showing there. It's like a really a mess.
Yeah.
Or I hate you or something like that is very bad. When you
Mhm.
say I love you, the crystal are truly beautiful. They're amazing. They're shining like, wow, this is really wow. So yes, the power of the words and the intention that you have behind it makes a whole difference. And don't forget, we are 80% of water. So whatever you say to somebody, it has a repercussion. It has a
Mhm.
ripple effect on the whole body.
Yeah.
And whether we're conscious of it or not, it's there.
It still
And
happens.
it's still happening.
Yes.
So you better choose. Don't ever say to somebody, I hate you.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing to say, but don't hesitate to say, I love you. And make sure that it's charged with positive emotion, that you don't say, oh, I love you. Like many things in the movie, we see that, or
Mhm.
maybe in our lives, say, oh, I love you. Like quickly, I love you. I said it. Oh, checklist.
Yeah.
That's not the idea.
I
Say
know.
attention.
Yeah.
Say, you know what? Teresa, I love you. I
I love you too, Patrick.
Thank you. And one more thing, Teresa.
Okay.
What is really important, when it's typically in our society, when one person say, I love you, we almost
Say
expect,
it back. Hmm.
don't.
I
Don't expect back. Give love, don't expect love in return. If somebody say thank you, fantastic. They acknowledge you already. That's enough. You
ex-
don't have to say I love you to feed you to fill up your own cup, because some people do that. Say I love you. I need to fill my cup. Oh, he said I love you too. So I feel like I am somebody now because I heard that I'm loved.
yes. I
So
I agree with you, Patrick. I mean, we could probably talk for hours and hours and days,
true.
but unfortunately, we don't have all that time.
Oh, I have so
So
much more to say.
I know. And so we'll do another one, say more. How's that?
Okay.
And so, so with having said that, do you have any last words something I haven't asked you that you would like to say something about?
Well, I think what is important is to just recognize that we are love. We are. And it's all about finding out how to express that love. And again, you can express it through poetry, through music, through singing, through meditating, through hugging, through smiling. There is a whole bunch of forms of expression of that love, but it is important to express it because we design to express that love that is within. And don't do it to get something back. It's not a trade.
No.
Okay? Love is not a trade. Love is giving, is an act of uh, giving, an act of giving.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to have done this first video podcast on love. I
Thank
think
you.
the most important virtue.
Yes.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us all. And I'd like to, I'm sure people watching this right now will want to get in touch with you. So I'd like to give them a little bit of information of how they can do that.
Mhm.
And your website is www.peakpotentialinternational.com. A mouthful, I know, but well worth the going in and checking it out. And Patrick's email is patrick at peakpotentialinternational.com, and phone number 416-919-8466. Patrick, I'm sure that people will be calling you and asking, I'm sure you pique probably loads of questions in their mind, and they'll probably want to know about your workshops and webinars. And I think it's so important for all of us to band together and spread the word, not only the word, but the actions of love. Because at the end of the day, we all have each other and we're all in this world together. And I think the more we can live from a space of love, the happier we'll all be.
Absolutely. Very nicely said, Theresa. And I'm really happy. Thank you again for inviting me. I think my life purpose is to continue to ignite the love within myself and other people. And doing so, it makes life so much more beautiful.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I really appreciate it, and I love you.
I love you. Mwah! And I love everybody listening to here as well.
Bye, Patrick. Love you.